Chapter 2 of Murder Makes Me Mad by Ferguson Findley. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 2. "Why the hell didn't you say she was your sister in the first place?" Stoddard growled, getting to his feet and rubbing his face. "You might have broken my jaw, you ham-handed gob." "You had it coming to you," I said. "You're lucky it didn't hit you higher, lower, or harder," Zimmer told him, "or you'd be dead. I saw this guy clean out a bar in Cebu City once, when he was on shore patrol, and I wouldn't tangle with him. You remember that, Chief?" I remembered it. I was beginning to remember Eddie Zimmer, too. He had been a first-class quartermaster when he was on the Bentley, and was a good man with flashing light signals and for navigating. He must have been in his early 20s then, which would have made him sneaking up on 40 pretty soon. He had been a pretty serious, plugging kind of sailor, and he looked as if he hadn't changed. Maybe he was 6 feet tall or about 2 inches shorter than me, and I bet he didn't weigh more than 150 pounds. And that was when he was soaking wet. He looked kind of like Abraham Lincoln without a beard, and had deep circles under his grayish eyes. "That was quite an evening," I smiled. "I was younger then, too." "You want to tell me about your sister now?" he asked. "Sure," I said. "Where do we start?" "Name and occupation, just for the record." "Rex Howard, Chief Bosun's Mate, U.S. Navy, retired. I have a private detective's license, but my work is confined to plant security and special guard assignments. I live in Peter Cooper Village." And I gave him my apartment and telephone numbers. "What was your sister's name?" "Janice. Janice Howard was her maiden name, but she told me this evening that she was married about 2 weeks ago to a Joseph Gillian, so her name is Janice Howard Gillian now, I guess." "Where does she live?" "She was living at the Waldorf," I said. "She just came in from Hot Springs, Arkansas this morning, she told me. She expected her husband to meet her at the hotel, but he called from Boston while I was there and said he wouldn't be able to get here before tomorrow." "Does Gillian have a residence in New York?" I don't know. I don't see how he would, and his wife not know about it and go to a hotel and wait for him." "Maybe we better find out, Jack," he called to another detective. "Get on the phone and call the Waldorf. See if they can tell you the address of a Joseph Gillian who reserved a room for his wife, and maybe for himself, too. His wife moved in today. What was the room number, Chief?" I told him, and the detective hurried off to the phone. Zimmer asked me some more questions, and then the detective came back. He gave his address as the Hot Springs Hotel, Hot Springs, Arkansas." "Didn't you say they were married in Hot Springs?" Zimmer asked me. "That's what Jan said." "I smell something awfully funny, Rex," Zimmer said. "Something's rotten somewhere." "Something stinks on ice," I said, and then I banged my fist on the bar so hard it shook the windows in front of the saloon. "God damn it, Eddie," I said fiercely. "Let's get underway and find the son of a bitch who killed that poor kid lying there. Let's stop asking me and Cookie about it and get going. Let's find this Joe Gillian. He's somewhere in Boston, and ask him what the score is. Let's get to work on that bottle of whiskey and see where the hell it came from. Let's knock off—" "Easy, Chief," Zimmer said. "We'll do all those things, but we can't do it all in half an hour." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw them lifting Jan's body onto a stretcher. They were taking her to the morgue, I knew, for an autopsy. I buried my head in my arms on the bar. I couldn't bear to see her go like that. But there wasn't anything I could do about it. Nothing except to find out how it happened, and make sure that justice fell quickly and surely on whoever poisoned the whiskey that she had drunk. Poisoned whiskey very seldom happens accidentally. Zimmer tapped me on the shoulder. "Let's go down to the office, Chief," he said. "We can't do anything more here. Jack, you hang around and see that nothing is disturbed. Have somebody call Conahan. Tell him the place is temporarily closed, but get him down here and find out where that Tooley's whiskey came from. I want to report to the lieutenant and the DA's man back at the office, and then there'll probably be a bunch of Homicide East guys come down here. You take charge. Come on, Rex, let's get to work, you and me." "That's better than sitting around here doing nothing," I said, "and that's for damn sure." We walked down to East 51st Street in the 17th Detective Squad headquarters and into the squad room. The assistant district attorney had just arrived, and we went through a long and involved period of questioning again. It must have been after midnight when we finished, and along about that time some cops from Homicide East walked in. "You guys find out anything?" a homicide man who introduced himself as Nick Gardella asked. "We found out that Mrs. Gillian's husband don't seem to have any house except his hat," Zimmer told him. "He registered into that hotel in Hot Springs as being from the Statler in Buffalo, and he lived in Hot Springs for almost 6 months, doing nothing at all as far as we can find out. The Statler in Buffalo has no record of him." Sounds to me like he might be on the lam, Gardella ventured. Somebody ought to know who he is if he lived in Hot Springs for 6 months. The only person we got who seems to know him is his wife, and she's, Did you find any trace of him in Boston? We traced the call he made to the Waldorf this evening, and that came from a saloon. Nobody there remembers him. He made the room reservation at the Waldorf the day before yesterday. Reserved it for a week and paid cash in advance. The desk clerk remembers him a little, but not enough to do us any good. We got the Boston cops calling the hotels around there to see if a Joseph Gillian has checked in anywhere, but we got no dope yet. Zimmer shrugged his shoulders and lit a cigarette. The telephone rang and the lieutenant at the desk picked it up. 17th Squad, he said. Oh, hi, Doc. You got what? Hydrocyanic acid? You got it for sure, Doc? That's what killed her, huh? Okay, Doc, thanks a lot. What? Wait, I'll ask him. He turned to me. The morgue is finished with the autopsy on your sister, Howard. What do you want to do with the body? Tell him I'll come down and take care of it, I said. I took Janice back to Conway, Arkansas, where we were born, and buried her in the little cemetery beside the old church next to Mother and Dad. Then I took the first plane back to New York and called Eddie Zimmer from the airport. I'd been gone a week. Come on up here, Chief, Zimmer told me. I'll tell you what we've found out. How much do you know? Did you locate Joe Gillian yet? Well, we don't know a hell of a lot, he admitted. It won't take long to tell you. He was right. Gillian hadn't been found, and in spite of headlines in the papers, he hadn't shown up anywhere. Lots of people in Hot Springs remembered him, but they didn't know anything about him. It was as though he had never existed before he went to Hot Springs or after he had called Jan from Boston. The bottle of Tooley's Irish whiskey was stuffed with enough hydrocyanic acid to kill a regiment. Investigation of the bottle and cork disclosed a small hole in the cork, almost too small to see. But it could have been made by a hypodermic needle in a syringe full of poison. Cunahan had bought a case of Tooley's, had used 3 bottles before this one was opened. The other 8 bottles in the case were perfectly all right. The case itself had been broken and discarded before Jan's death, so they couldn't check it for tampering. Where the hell did Cunahan buy the whiskey? I asked. That's a good question, Zimmer said, because it's one of the few we can answer. He bought it from an importing and distributing outfit called Wirtz & Company, over on West 50th Street. They handle a pretty good list of Scotch and Irish whiskeys and foreign wines and cordials. A guy by the name of Caesar Wirtz is the head of the outfit. He doesn't seem to know how 1 bottle out of a case got poisoned, and all his invoices and records are in order. Does he have a record of any kind? I wondered. Clean as a whistle, Zimmer told me. He's a nervous little jerk, but I can't arrest him on that. What else do you know? Here's your sister's stuff that I got back from the property clerk. He opened a drawer and took out a package. You can check it against the inventory. I got a suit full of her clothes and the other gear that were in the hotel. It's in the other room. You can get it when you leave. No clues about her husband and any of her things? I asked. No photographs? No letters? Nary a one. There was a phone number on the registration slip that Mr. Gillian made out when he reserved the room. We called it, and it turned out to be a saloon away on West 54th Street, practically in the Hudson River. Nobody there ever heard of Joseph Gillian. You think he could have killed his wife? Now how the hell could he have done that, Rex? We have your sister's word that he called her from Boston 3 hours before she was killed. We traced the call, and it did come from Boston. Now, it's granted that a man can get down from Boston in less than 3 hours, but I can't figure out how he could know that you were going to drop in Cunahan's and that your sister would ask for a fresh bottle of whiskey. And even if he could figure it, what was he doing? Hiding in the booze closet with a hypo full of hydrocyanic acid? And what was his motive, anyhow? I don't know, damn it, I exploded. You're the detective. I'm just a retired chief's bosun's mate that spent half his life as a master-at-arms. But by God, somebody put the poison in that bottle, and that's the guy who murdered my sister, and I'm going to see him burn for it. Now take it easy, Chief. You can't even call it murder at this stage of the game. Horse collar, I said. Anybody who pumps poison into a whiskey bottle expects it to kill somebody. And that kind of killing's murder in my book. And murder makes me pretty goddamn mad, Eddie. I picked up the package of Jan's things from his desk. Where's the suitcase? I know you're doing your best, Eddie, but I don't have time to wait for the cops to do my work for me. You don't mind if I do a little investigating myself, do you? Yes, damn it, we do. You go banging around like a recruit in a flag bag and you'll have us all fouled because I don't care if you do or don't, I told him. I'm sounding general quarters right now and going to my battle station. When you hear me piping secure, you'll know this case is solved to my satisfaction. I just hope I get the bastard before you do. I'll save you some money. "You'll get yourself in jail if you're not careful," Zimmer warned me, but there was a friendly light in his eyes. "Oh, I'll be careful," I promised. There wasn't much I could do but be careful, when I came right down to it. I went down to my apartment and tried to think. But what did I have to think about? Only about Jan and that she was dead. Senselessly dead from a drink of poisoned booze. A drink she really didn't want. A drink I had talked her into having, just because I wanted to drop into Cunahan's and shoot the breeze with Cookie Slack. But I'd gone over all that in my mind before and knew it was no good to think that way. It wasn't good for me, and it wouldn't bring Jan back to life or her murderer to justice. I went out to the galley and started some chow, and while it was cooking, I built myself a couple of good-sized drinks of bourbon and drank them. That made me hungry, and I ate more than I intended. I had a couple more drinks after chow while I was washing the dishes and securing the scullery, and little by little the strain of the week fell away. But that didn't make my problem any easier. I had only the little information Eddie Zimmer had given me. I went through all Jan's gear with a fine-tooth comb, and then I got an idea and called Eddie. "Who paid for all these new clothes of Jan's?" I asked him. "Who paid for that big engagement ring?" "She did, and he did," Eddie told me warily. "He paid cash for everything, and so did she. We checked back on her bank account, and she probably paid her own cash for everything except the rings. That's the way it should be, I understand. Why don't you go to bed?" "I'm figuring," I said. "Good night." Then I checked the phone book for the name and address I wanted, wrote it down on a piece of paper, and went into the bathroom to take a shower. There wasn't anything I could do that night, so, like Eddie Zimmer said, I might as well hit the old sack. The scales in the bathroom told me I still weighed in at 180 pounds, and I guess I was still a couple inches over 6 feet tall. My eyes were still blue, and my hair still looked the same old manila cordage I had been carrying on my dome since 1912. I stood in front of the mirror and took my old boxing stance and smacked my left fist in the palm of my right hand. "That's for you, you poisoning bastard," I said. And then I stepped under the shower and let it run as hard as it could. I felt better. The next morning I got up and fried myself a mess of bacon and eggs, made a pot of hot black java, and kind of got back into the swing of being alive. The address I had written down the night before was that of Wirtz and Company on West 50th Street over near 10th Avenue. As soon as I figured the joint would be open, I gave them a call and asked for Mr. Wirtz. Some dame answered the phone, and she wanted to know what I wanted to see Mr. Wirtz about. "I'm thinking of opening a bar and grill," I told her. "I don't have the license yet, but I expect to get it in about a month. Right now I'm trying to line up some wholesalers, especially for my imported stuff."
"And what did you say your name was?"
she asked. She had a soft, deep voice. "Rex Howard," I said.
"Mr. Wirtz isn't in right now, Mr. Howard," she said, "but I know he'd be glad to see you. Why don't you come up here about 10 this morning? He should be here, and he doesn't have any other appointments scheduled in. Will that be all right?"
"That'll be fine, honey," I said. "I'll be there." The bus took me up to 50th, and I walked over to Wirtz's address. I climbed a couple of ladders to the second deck, flights of stairs to the second floor to you, and knocked on a locked door that said "Walk in." The voice I heard over the telephone called,
"Wait a minute,"
and then the door opened.
"I'm sorry," she said. "I forgot to throw the latch this morning. You're Mr.
"Howard," I said. "Rex Howard." I couldn't say much more because I was too busy looking at her, and there was a lot to look at. A little sign on the desk that she went back to after fixing the door said D. Ames, and that was an awful short name for so much wonderful woman. She was a decided brunette, and she wasn't a kid, but she certainly was well put together. When she had been standing up, I had the impression that most of her was long, slim legs, and I love long, slim legs. When she sat down, I got the impression that most of her might be pectoral development under the tight white sweater she was wearing. Her face was almost too perfect, like a model's or a showgirl's. It wasn't artificial, but you could see she had been around for a while. There were no rings on her fingers.
"Oh, yes, Mr. Howard," she smiled. "Mr. Wirtz was anxious to see you, but he got a telephone call from the trucking agency and had to hurry over to the ship. Some kind of trouble or other."
She took the cigarette I offered her, touched her hand against mine to bring the match up to it, and took a long drag. "When will he be back?" I asked. "I sure would like to talk to him."
"Probably after lunch. Could you come back then?"
"I've got all day with nothing to do but talk to Mr. Wirtz. I might as well wait here. I'm the patient type."
"You don't want to spend all day here," she said. "You'd be bored stiff."
"This feels like a comfortable chair to me," and I settled into a leather affair. "Must have bought for people to sit in, and I'm a great guy for sitting. Is this your office?"
"This is kind of my office in the reception room.
Where does Mr. Wertz hang out?
In there.
And she pointed through an open door to where I could see a littered desk and some filing cabinets. Where are all the rest of Wertz and company? Where's company?
You're rather curious, Mr. Howard, aren't you?
She wasn't too friendly. I'd just like to know what kind of outfit I'm dealing with. One man and a girl doesn't seem like very much. Some of the other distributors seem to have dozens of people in their offices.
Who, for instance?
She had me there for a minute. Then I remembered that I'd done some warehouse security recommendations for Bonded Brands Corporation and mentioned them. It seemed to satisfy her, but she insisted there was no need for me to sit and wait all day. What's wrong with me? I said. Am I in the way here? Once in every 3 or 4 hitches, I get to see a girl as good-looking as you, and then she wants to throw me out in the street. You might at least give me some price lists to look at and a little sales talk. What's that D stand for, if you are D. Ames?
Deborah,
she told me.
But most people call me Debbie.
If old Caesar isn't back for lunch, can we go out and have lunch together, Debbie? Or how about lunch even if he is back? I feed pretty well.
I have lunch sent in, and so does Mr. Wertz.
Well, I'll bet you have to, I said, seeing as there are only 2 of you. Where did you say the rest of the company is?
Out in the field selling, and over at the warehouse.
She snapped at me. She got up and walked into the other office and came back with a handful of circulars.
Here's our line of stuff. Those prices, as you undoubtedly know, are the fixed retail prices. You get the regular wholesale price, of course, and I'm sure you know how to figure that.
Of course I didn't know anything of the kind, and I had the feeling she knew it too. I sat there in the chair making little additions and subtractions in my notebook, and making check marks against certain items on the list she had given me, but they didn't mean anything. Deborah Ames seemed to be busy transcribing a notebook full of dictation. The telephone rang, and she grabbed it like it was hot.
Wertz and Company,
she said, and her voice made me shiver a little. The voice at the other end said something, and she gave me a quick look.
I'm sorry Mr. Wertz isn't here. I said Mr. Wertz isn't here. I expect him back after lunch. After lunch. Thank you. Goodbye.
Somebody was still trying to talk as she hung up. Who was that? I asked. Mr. Wertz?
Why don't you go to hell?
She frowned at me.
How can I get my work done with you sitting there acting wise? You give me the fidgets. You heard me say that Mr. Wertz wouldn't be back until after lunch.
Okay, Debbie. I smiled sweetly. I can take a hint. I go, but I shall return, as old Doug used to say. I shall return at 4 bells in the afternoon watch, or 1400, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, no matter how you say it. You will please tell Mr. Wertz that I will be here and hope to see him. Thank you for a wonderful half hour. I hope to see more of you sometime, preferably somewhere else. Would you like to make a date now, say perhaps for this evening? Where do you live?
If I hear from Mr. Wertz, I will tell him that you will be here at 2. Thank you very much for leaving.
I allowed to myself that I would get after that as soon as I could and walk down and across the street to a little beanery, where I sat at the counter and ordered a cup of joe. As I was stirring it, the telephone rang and the counterman answered it, then passed it across the counter to a little old geezer with no hair who was nursing a roll and a glass of milk about 4 seats down from me. He took the phone, said hello, and I thought I caught the tone of voice on the other end. Then he said thanks and hung up, gave the counterman $1, got 30 cents change, and left. I watched him cross the street and go in the door that marked the entrance to Wertz and Company. Who was the old guy? I asked the counterman. Oh, that's old man Wertz, Caesar Wertz. He runs a importing outfit across the street, distributes whiskey and stuff. Now here he's just about broke. End of chapter 2.